Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very special review of a knife that I've had for a while that I'm really excited to talk to you about. This is the Olamic Custom, got a little bit of oil on there, Olamic Custom Whippersnapper. This is a really cool little knife. It is something that I have enjoyed very much having in my collection. If you're not familiar with Olamic Customs, you can contact them directly at their site and you can get one of their variants. You can order it with all sorts of different things together, different backspacers, different clips, different materials, different anodizations, different types of materials, titanium, zirconium, Damascus, Damasteel, different, even different blades from the XHT to S90V to Damasteel. There's all sorts of variants that you can get, but this is the Whippersnapper version 2, which is one of those knives that I really enjoy a lot. I like this particular one because this particular one is, I don't know, it spoke to me. It's a Warrencliffe version. There is also a sheepsfoot version, much bigger blade, bigger bow belly on it. This is the S90V steel, which I really liked a lot. I don't know if we can see that on there. Yeah, here we are. S90V right there, if you can see that. And then we have, this is the WSBL 194W. I guess that's the model or the design, the combination. This has the gold fat carbon scales. And I don't know if it does it justice and if you can see this here with the light, but in the sun, this looks almost like amber. Looks like amber. It's so beautiful and reflects so well, and it almost has that glow of amber jewels. And this is titanium. It almost looks like zirconium, but it's not. It's just kind of a gray, anodized, sandblasted titanium here, and then this is bronze. Bronze anodized hardware screws and stuff like that, which I like a lot. You can see the clip back here. It's got a nice rounded tip there. This is titanium as well. It's got some good, nice flexibility too, and it's with nice standoffs there. This is the back spacer. It goes all the way back, and this is, again, bronze anodized as well, really nicely. And then you can see the fat carbon perfectly milled in there with a beautiful, almost perfect transition. It's a bolster lock, which is the nice thing about the version 2. It's got a bolster lock as opposed to an exposed frame lock, so you do have a nice little, action there. And this does have the steel bar insert, and if you can see that steel bar insert with the ceramic ball right there, ceramic ball for beautiful action. Yeah, and it's over travel stop, which you almost don't need with the bolster lock there as well, obviously, right? And you can see that beautiful engagement. We're right at 30%. Beautiful polish on this blade. Nothing is sharp. It's all rounded, gorgeously done. Nice swedge up here on this Warrencliffe. Beautiful satin finish. It's got to be hand satin the way it is. Just gorgeous. You can see that beautiful finish, the swedge on top here. Nice thumb hole. Beautiful thumb hole. The action is just very dreamy and glidey. You can see it's a top flipper. Works really nicely. And that thumb hole reverse flicks and thumb flicks beautifully. Right? And you can easily do over the top flipping, and then you can even do that like little side swipe flipping like that. That's really nice. I like that part too. That works well. And it works well left-handed as well. So all that works really nicely left-handed as well. So all the action for this, beautiful cutaway, easy to get to the frame lock or bolster lock here. You can see it's nice and chamfered, so you got good cutaway action, easy to get in there, easy to push. Nothing is going to be digging into your hands, making this uncomfortable. Everything's tuned just nicely, especially for a front flipper. You don't want it to be crazy tough. You want to be able to use that flipper action really nicely. I have not taken this apart, tuned this knife. Beautifully, perfectly centered. Everything's been great. That's what I love about this knife. It is a thicker, robust blade, but it comes down to a very nice thin edge. It's meant to be a strong blade. This is S90V steel, so it's a harder steel. I've noticed when I strop it, it does take a while to strop, but once you strop it, I mean, that edge retention is just ridiculous, right? And that's the nice thing about S90V. I really do like that. And that cage ceramic ball bearing action is beautiful inside. So even though it's got nicely chamfered all the way around, nothing sharp around here. Everything's nice and rounded, especially the clip. This is all rounded. Just a nice little aesthetics up here. Everything's rounded. So when you choke up, it's got a nice finger choice, easy to grip up here. You can choke back here. You got a little jimping. That's easy as well, so that works nicely. Now I've got medium to medium large hands, and so my hand's going to fit 3 fingers about right there. right? And then my fourth finger is going to go right over the edge, but it's still on the handle. If I choke up, I'm all 4 fingers on there like that, so nicely fits. So my hands are large widthwise, medium lengthwise. So an extra large hand's definitely gonna have room here. I think an extra large hand, you're gonna be a little further out. Double extra large, you're gonna be close to the edge, right? When you're up here, large, extra large hands, extra large, double extra large hands, you're definitely gonna be out a little further. But I think it works well. I like it. It's a smaller knife, and the kind of choke up position, kind of like a Spyderco Para 3 or Paramilitary 2, you have that same sort of feel where you choke up. The Mannix does that, even the Shaman does that, right? The Native and all those other knives, they do all that nice choke up, and this does it really, really well. It fits well. And the blade action, I love the tip. It's really great for precision cuts and stuff. I've used this to open boxes. I've used it to open cat food, dog food. Works really, really nicely. Now, the designer, I can't remember the name of the designer. I'll have to put it in the description below, or somebody who's watched this video, if you want to put it into the comments, please feel free. But the designer, I know, is a guy who also worked on one of the other knives, and he does a lot of their custom work and stuff. I believe he's a Russian guy, but it's just really beautiful. I love this design, especially the version 2. It's one of my favorite, and I wish they would do a few of the other knives similarly and revamp them in a similar manner, because this just makes this knife 1,000 times better, in my opinion. Not that the other one weren't great, but this makes this a knife that you want to use, you want to collect, you want to have in your possession, you want to just carry. So, and that's what I like about this knife. It's fun. It's fun to use, fun to carry, and everything about it is done so well. This is definitely a collector's piece. It's not a budget knife. So if you're thinking this is a budget knife, and if you're looking at this and going, oh, I would never pay that much, well, you know, you probably already stopped watching the video by now. And if you're on the cusp and you're thinking, would I ever spend that much money on a knife like this? Well, you're probably watching and wondering, you know, what's the benefit? What do you get out of this? I can only tell you that the aesthetics that I get out of this, there's just some refinements, some accoutrements, if you will, that this knife has that other knives just do not have. And until you handle it and use it, I can explain it to you probably 100 different ways, but you're not going to really know and appreciate it until you experience it, and then you see it and you feel it when you compare it to other knives, right? There's just that wonderfulness about that happens. And then when you have it, it's just phenomenal. So, I don't know. To me, the action is one of those things that I find just beautiful. It is such a beautiful, buttery, smooth close action. It's consistent. The flipping is phenomenal, right? I love that. All the edges, the roundedness everywhere here is just perfect, right? All that, I love that as well. So yeah, so that's, you know, materials, the compression, the frame lock, bolster lock, how that works, all that stuff works really nicely. So let's do all the measurements on this one so we can kind of put it in scope with the other ones. Oh, we're in grams. Let's go back to ounces. So we're at 3.27 ounces. So it's not a super heavy knife. It's pretty light, 3.27 ounces. Let's look at the length of this knife. So this knife is going to be just under 7 inches, probably about 6 7/8 of an inch, right? We're looking at the length of the blade's about 2 1/4 inches, right? So 2 1/4 inches. If we look to the very base of the tip of the handle, we're about 2.75 inches. So in some states where you need to be under 3 inches, you're definitely fine with this one. That's nice. Let's look at the overall handle length here in this one. It's 3.5 inches. If we use the choke up position, we got about 4.5 inches. So it gives you a lot of extra space. I talked about the cutting length, but it's the same, 2 1/4 inches, because there's no bow or anything. So it's exactly the same. Just no difference, right? All right. So we looked at that weight. Ratios were pretty darn close, right? So that's not bad. All right, let's look at the measurements here, and let's look at how thick the blade stock is. So we're at 0.145 inches, so 145th hundredths of an inch. You know, it's a pretty robust blade. And it comes down to a very nice flat grind, very smooth edge. It's got a long edge. I don't know if you can see that. The edge is not, it's really nicely grounded and fairly even on both sides. Actually, very even on both sides. Really done well. Yeah, really consistent edge and nice and very sharp. And I love the pokiness of the tip. And it's very, very thick and robust, so you can really do some stuff. You can get into boxes, you can get into some envelopes, whatever you want to use for this. You know, I know some people, this might be a collection piece, you'd never use it for anything, but I've opened boxes cereal, dog food, cat food, mulch. Yeah, I've used that for this thing. So now I wouldn't cut trees, limbs down and stuff like that. I would probably have a 5th pocket knife if I'm going somewhere where there's a chance that they might want me to cut something with this. Yeah, I would definitely have a 5th pocket knife with me when it comes to something like this. But I'd still use it. Still open letters, envelopes, absolutely 100%. That's what it's for. If I can't carry this knife, then it doesn't need to be in my collection, right? So there you go. All right. Let's talk about the knife category. Well, this is definitely high end. It's a little higher than high end. We're getting into high end. I guess we could mid-tech, semi-custom, custom. It's Olamic customs, right? So this is for some people, customs are everything's handmade. From the grinding to every piece of the knife is all handmade. Okay, well, if that's your idea of custom, there's very few custom out there because very few people who do that, and some of those customs aren't as nice as some of those other ones that I think are really more considered customs. They might call that a mid-tech because there's some milling involved. I consider a custom when it's a particular knife maker. They're making their own knives. They're doing a lot of hand touches. Now, they may have some milling for the steel, for the scales, but they're finishing everything. They're buffering, chamfering everything at the end. They're assembling everything at the end. They're hand sharpening it. Maybe they're doing a grind themselves. All that stuff to me. So that makes it a custom to me. And this would definitely fall into that line of category. You have things like McNeese that would fall into that line of category. My Arno Bernard falls into that line of category. So I would definitely say this would fall into the new range. This would be, I guess you can call this, so I have budget, regular, and high-end. My high-end stops at 600, so I would say this is probably going to be mid-tech, semi-custom, right? We'll call it that. So, yeah. You can get some of these probably around $600, but, if you want S90V, you want some of this other accoutrements, this is probably going to be around, $750, $725, $775, $800, right? So that's what you're looking at. But definitely a knife that's worth getting, and you can sezzle it for a year and make payments on it. I would definitely recommend that. If you want to get one nice knife in your life, this would definitely be one of those. This one spoke to me more than a Sheargorf. It spoke to me more than a Koenig, an Arius, more than a Herman, just because of the functionality and the use and how everybody enjoys using it, and the fidget factor. I liked all of that working together. That really did it for me. So, yeah, it's above high-end knife. I would call it mid-tech. I guess we can call it semi-custom. That'll be my next level. We'll call that semi-custom. I'll add it to my list. Purpose, EDC, absolutely. Hard use, no. Could I hard use this? Absolutely, I could hard use this. No questions asked. I could absolutely hard use this one. I think this one would be very easy to hard use, and it would handle it very, very well. Now, it doesn't mean that I would just have it in my collection to look at and never use, but I would definitely open letters, envelopes, boxes, might even get a scratch or two on here, and I'd be okay with that, right? I mean, I have a couple of buff marks on my clip already, because when I use them, that's what happens. I think I might have a couple of micro scratches on the blade here, just from some things I've cut, but I'm okay with that, right? Because I use my knives. So, definitely an EDC, church work, kind of more nicer parties, stuff like that, going out, I think for sure. I would definitely, if I'm going to parties and stuff like that, I would definitely have a 5th pocket knife. I learned that one year when I went to a Christmas party and they asked me to open a bottle of wine, and all I had was my knife, and being the new knife guy and everybody talking about it, I felt like I had to do it, and I opened this bottle of wine. It was aluminum around the top to get to it, and I rolled a blade because, you shouldn't do that. And from there on out, I said, if I'm going to a party, I'm going to have a 5th pocket knife with me. So yeah, I would definitely have a 5th pocket knife with this one. I wouldn't cut open a bottle of aluminum around the top of wine or something like that for sure. So yeah, you definitely not see me do that. But it's definitely EDC, and I definitely carry it, definitely use it. So, all right, Ergos and Feel, handle design. Handle design's gorgeous, absolutely flawless. Chamfered all the way around, comfortable grip like this, even with the finger over the top of the edge like that. It's really comfortable, nice jimping up there. Choking up positions, absolutely comfortable. This is rounded, nothing digs in, no hot spots, works really nice. Everything is rounded just perfectly around, so it makes it very comfortable. Deployment design, multiple deployments for the thumb hole, finger reverse flick. The top flipping, you can front flip it, you can over the top flick it, and you can kind of like oops, let me get up there. You can side flick it. That's really nice. You just put your finger up there and do that. And all that works the same way left-handed. So yeah, the deployment is just phenomenal. I love the thumb hole, I love the top flipper, and theoretically, I do this too. I can middle finger reverse click it. So there's the bonus, because this flat grind right here has a nice axis to it. Put my finger right there. Easy to middle finger reverse flick it. Super, super easy. Left-handed, right-handed. So there you go. It's a bonus. All right. Closing design. Closing design, it's a bolster frame lock. You get past that, you drop the detent, you get there, and it's just buttery shut. Beautiful, beautiful, smooth action. It just closes every time, just nicely. So yeah, the action is phenomenal. Absolutely great. No questions asked there. Fidget factor. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Got bonus, right? This is lots of fidgety goodness going on here. And every one of these fidgety goodness works really nice. And I can fidget this knife all day, all night long. Trust me, my family can attest to that. And they'll tell you that it's annoying, especially when I'm fidgeting a knife like this, because I can fidget it all day, all night long. And they hate it, but you know, I enjoy it. It's very soothing, so I enjoy that. So fidgety factor, fidgetness, I guess the fidget factor is a 10 out of 10. Absolutely 10 out of 10. For what it does, for how it executes it, it's absolutely a 10 out of 10. I love it. As far as fidgety goodness, it's 100%. I love this knife. I do. You know, they execute this so well. And, you know, if my standard was this knife for every other knife, every one of those ratings would be lower. If I were to apply the standard for this knife on a budget knife could never compare. But I'm not trying to compare that. I mean, you're talking different genres of knife, different, you know, levels of knife craftsmanship. And this is definitely in its own level. And I'm sure there's levels above this. I have no doubt. I've yet to experience them or be willing to experience them. But I hope that they're every bit as good as this is and fidgety and useful as it is. I don't want to buy a knife that's nicer than this that I can't use and enjoy and fidget. If it's so nice that, you know, like if I get it, oh, you can't flick it hard because, you know, it's a super crazy steel. I don't want that. That's not useful. That's not fidgety goodness. You know, I don't buy knives to go, oh, that's pretty. Let me stick it right there and just look at it. No, I get a knife so I can use it. That's me. You know, you may have a knife that you go, that's beautiful. I want to collect that piece and enjoy looking at it. Absolutely fine. That is your collection. You do with what you want. Don't let my decision affect your decision, right? Just like I'm not going to let your decision affect my decision. If you feel like, oh, that's a safe queen, blah, blah. I'm like, no, sorry. I'm using it. I enjoy it. Or if they feel like, well, you know, you should get that one because I love it as a safe queen. Oh, well, okay. Am I going to use it? Am I gonna, no, probably because I'm not willing to spend that much money on something I can use yet. Then so probably not. You know, I'm going to choose the knives I like, and that's okay. We have that choice. Buy what you want, buy what you enjoy. I'm just trying to share with you the things that I like. So if you like some of these things, you can make an educated decision and say, yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Or that means nothing to me. I could care less about that. Or you can say, I love that, and I love how he explained that, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, I think I would love that. And if that helps you, awesome. That's really all I want to do, is be able to help you find a knife that's going to bring you joy and make you just enjoy your collection, right? So that's really my goal. And hopefully you appreciate that. Hopefully you see that, and hopefully we can respect that, right? Just like I appreciate your comments. When you share some things about your collection, I appreciate it because I know that's important to you, and it also helps me to kind of get a little idea of, you know, what matters to people. And that way I can kind of see different people's perspective, right? So for some people, you know, this is too small, large hands. This would not fit. If you've got like gigantic hands and you don't like small knives, this is definitely out of the question for you. Now the Wayfarer and some of the other larger versions they have, you might love, because they make some really big knives for really big hands. You would love that. This would definitely not be one in your consideration. But if you like smaller knives and you like the little choked up finger choil kind of thing knife, you will love this. So if you like a pair 3, you will love this, right? If you love a native, you know, you love those kind of Spyderco knives and other knives like that, like a Devo Pony Stout, you will love this. I think it'll be great. So just my thought on there. And you can kind of, you know, whatever. All right, so closing design, jimping, we talked about. Fidget factor, we said it's out of 10. Overall thoughts, is it recommended? Absolutely, 100%. 100% recommend it. Yes, 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 and then yes. And maybe another yes on top of that, just in case you weren't sure about the other yeses. Yeah, definitely. Now, is it something for everybody? Probably not, right? If you're not willing to spend the money on this, then don't. If you don't find this enough value for you to enjoy it, then don't. But if you appreciate some of these things on this thing, then do. I know there's variants that some of my subscribers, some of you guys out there, you have some with the Damasteel steel, zirconium, all that stuff, beautiful and gorgeous. Now, would I be willing to spend 2-3 times the money I spent on this one for that? Right now, probably not. Maybe down the road, maybe, I don't know. But right now, no. This is about what I'm willing to spend and enjoy. And it's a similar knife. Beautiful design, similar design, but you know, there's other accoutrements that you can get. Yeah, maybe a nicer backspacer might be cool. Maybe a different designed, you know, milled pocket clip might be cool. You know, yeah, maybe a different pivot might be cool. Maybe some different fat carbon inlays might be cool. But I mean, I like the S90V. To me, that's just really one of the things that drew me. I just happen to love the fat carbon gold. Again, I can't tell you how much this looks like, I don't know, it looks like a beautiful jewel when you get it in the sun. I don't know how else to tell you, except I mean, if you see some of my shorts, you can see it. It's just, wish the sunlight could show it to you here. I think I did this once before. Let me see if I can get the really bright light on this. Okay, it's too bright. Let's get a little dimmer. Let's try that. I don't know if you can see it when I do this enough. I really wish you guys could see the beautifulness. It looks like amber jewel. It just really does. It's just amazing. I don't know if you can get it. I would really love to capture that. You almost have to handle it in hand to be able to see that and enjoy it. But it just really is phenomenal. So there you go. That is my Whippersnapper. And I don't know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on this? You know, just so you know, it is recommended. It's going to be in my recommended higher end knives. Absolutely, I'm including it. No questions asked. It's going to be also a recommended knife. I think any variant of this is going to be a great knife in your collection. I think it's very usable, very greatly, wonderfully made. Everything about it is just, even this jimping is just so functional without tearing up your hand and working so perfectly and yet being comfortable. I don't know how else to describe that. It's just the way they chamfered and rounded this and made sure the edges aren't super sharp but have some traction. It's just a really probably hand-touched design that I think is amazing. All right. So what are your all thoughts? You guys have whippersnappers that you like. You have the version 1, maybe you have the version 2. Maybe you don't have the bolster lock, which is the version 1, or maybe you have the bolster lock, which is the version 2. Any of you guys checked it out, held it in hand and thought, it's not for me, or said, yeah, it is for me. What are your thoughts about this? I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear where you all are at with these things. I do try to read all my comments, do try to reply, because, you know, channel is at the size where I can still do that and hope to do that and continue to do that, because that's important to me. I learn from you, as hopefully you learn a little something from me once in a while. So yeah, if you have any questions about the reviews, any future questions about future reviews, any ideas, things you'd like to see me do or talk about, please let me know. If you have any questions for me or the channel, please let me know as well. Like I said, I do try to reply to all my comments. Hey, if you found this review interesting, fun, or worthwhile, would you consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, would you consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking the videos really helps out the channel, helps me out, helps the channel grow, allows us to do more things, produce more content. I really appreciate that. And if you're already subscribed and you've already done that, would you consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content as soon as it's released? And if you've done all that, maybe you want to check me out over on Instagram. You can also talk over there, Instagram messages, but Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching the video and taking this journey of this knife review that I've really enjoyed, a knife that I'm very much still enjoying, and I'll keep on enjoying. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully gave you some insight and appreciation for it. If nothing else, even if it's not for you, at least you can appreciate what people find, of value. If you enjoyed all that, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.